What is up, everybody? Happy Fun Day Sunday in the garage. So, on today's Adventures of Kenny, we are going to mess with this 4L80E transmission. So, at this point, you guys should have saw the short that I did on the full walk around for the K5. So, it's time to start getting the parts ready for it, so that way I can make this thing a quick changeover and I can get that thing cruising by the fall. So that's my plan, and I'm hoping I can execute it. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and kind of show you what I am planning on messing with today. Okay, so this is the major plan for today, is to install this TransGo Performance Shift Kit. So here are the instructions for it. It says it's not for the novice, I guess, but we gonna see. But I already got the transmission over here. Let me pull this plastic and everything off. So got everything here. I need to pull out this valve body, and then I'm gonna start messing with that and seeing if I can install this. I look at it as in, if I can tear apart a motor, I should be able to do this. But that's what the main thing for today is, just to try to get this installed. Second things, while I'm doing that, I plan on, here's the calipers and everything that came with the CPP kit for the front. I want them to be a anodized blue color. So I'm going to prep these today and get them ready so I can paint them the anodized blue color. That's the only thing I'm really going to have kind of show on the vehicle that you really couldn't see unless you pop the hood, because I want the calipers to be blue. These are for the front. Here are the calipers for the rear. This is who I got those from, this Wolf Design Company. They seem to be basic like everybody else's. So those I'm going to paint, get them in that nice anodized blue color. And then while I'm messing with that, here is the center section for the, the center cross members for the two-wheel drive conversion stuff. So these are the engine mounts. They are like an energy suspension bushing here with the clamshell separate. You can buy them like that. So I did that because I wanted to at least give it some stiffness in the motor, with the power I'm throwing at it. And I picked this up from, Trucking Crazy, So I need to clean this up. I want to get it ready so I can paint it with that Eastwood rust encapsulating paint. And then I have to take this bracket right here off, because for the coilover thing, it takes the place of that. And it looks like I'm on the wrong side, but it looks like those bolt holes pretty much lined up the same place of those rivets. So I want to try to get that stuff and get it ready, because in about a couple weeks, I plan on bringing the Blazer home. So let me quit yapping and get to it. Okay, so the first thing I decided to mess with was the front calipers. Basically, if you want to know, I scuff them, hit them with the wax and grease remover, and then from that, I'm gonna hit them with some silver paint. So I'll show you what that looks like, because I've already done one of them. Okay, so far I just put one coat on. So basically, you want to make them get a little nice silver color. I left the CPP sticker on there because I'm gonna peel it off, and that way underneath it just shows black with the anodized. So I taped out the sections that I didn't want paint on, but hit them with the silver, then hit them with the anodized paint. Should make them pop pretty good. Okay, so I got some blue on the calipers. That's one set. There's the other set. I use this blue here, then I go with the anodized. That way it darkens it up the way I want it to be. Here's the rear. Sit on top of my trash can lid. I tried hitting it, but I guess I didn't let the wax and grease remover dry enough, so it didn't come out great. So I'm gonna let this dry for a minute, and then I'll hit these with the silver, and then hit it with the blue. Now time for the main course. Let's start messing with this kit here. I'm gonna pull this whole valve body off. Okay, so it looks like these are all 10 mils. We got a couple of 8s, and then we'll pull these clips and everything off. So one thing I always do when I don't know what I'm doing is I take pictures. That way I at least know where everything went before I started messing with it. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna start getting all these clips and everything off and these screws out. Okay, so I got all the clips out, all the bolts out. So it looks like all the bolts that are 10 millimeter I got another little thing here, are all the same length, so you can put them wherever. All the bolts that were 8mm were all the same length, so you can put them whatever. All clips were out. There was a little rod that went from here to hold this up to here. Was a little stiff, but I found if you kind of bend it up here a little bit and pull it out, then it'll come out the whole thing easy. But let's get this thing sitting on the bench. Okay, so I got the valve body off. I did notice it has all these little balls. So I took a picture. That way if something comes out or something's missing, at least I remember kind of where it's at. The only thing that kind of has me a little bit, I noticed a little crud in this little channel here. So I'm gonna try to clean that out, suck it out with a little, like a little shop vac or something. See if I can clean that crud out. But here is that whole assembly sitting in the box. I'm about to flip it over and see what it looks like. So it looks like it still has a gasket attached to it. And from the picture, right here, looks like I have to remove this. And I'm gonna flip it over so it looks like the picture. Okay, not sure where I last left off. My wife came and asked me some questions. So, got the gasket off, got everything scraped, got that one little thing off. These are two little springs that are underneath. Here's the old gasket. They give you new gaskets in the kit. So, now, as far as instruction says, right here, we need to drill a little hole. And that hole section is right there. So what I'm gonna do to get a lot of this fluid out is I'm gonna use some Q-tips. That way they can kind of absorb it, and we'll start drilling. I'm gonna use a plate right here so I don't worry about chipping this section with the drill bit. Okay, so I don't know if that shows up, but I hit it with a little center punch to kind of get my mark so the bit doesn't walk. And wish me luck. Okay, so I did get the hole drilled. Did get a little nippy there, but it's not enough to cause anything. So I think once I get done with everything it's telling me to do and drill and all that kind of stuff, then I'll just clean the hell out of this thing so I don't have any metal shavings anywhere. All right, so the next part of the instructions are we have to remove this little detent thing, which holds in some kind of O-ring end plug, couple springs, and something else. And it looks like that is right there. That is the front side of it. So I'm gonna see if I can push that out with ease and keep this going. Okay, so it does look like you gotta use a punch to get that to come all the way through, just so you know. So hopefully you got a long enough punch. Okay, so to get that little thing right there out, I had to use a pick tool because it didn't want to just pop out once you got the little, I don't know, I guess I call it a detent. But I had to like go in here, twist this, and push to get that to pop out. So it took me like 10 minutes to figure out how to get that out. So hopefully that helps somebody else. Okay, so it says discard the original springs and little end piece. But right here, if you want to adjust how firm it shifts, so I'm like, for slightly firmer shifts, use the blue spring by itself. For even firmer, use the blue inner spring by itself. So I think I'm just gonna just use the one blue outer spring, which is the bigger one of the two. So kind of looks like that a little bit. So let's get at it. Okay, so I got the calipers all blue looking, and I'm hitting with that little anodized paint. Hopefully give it that little extra pop that I need. And then I'll start messing with these next. So far I got one coat of the anodized blue on. I'm gonna hit it with 2 coats. Here's the other set. So back to this damn trans to go. Okay, so now here's the next instruction. Looks like I want me to do some more stuff on this side, which is right there. I guess remove that detent holder and do something with a filter and a spring. So let's get at it. Okay, so what I'm seeing after I got that little thing down enough and out of the way, this don't want to slide out as easy. well, I couldn't get it to slide out. So then the shifter arm thing sits right in here. So then I'm just taking the punch and pushing it from the other way. That was a little shifter arm thing. I don't know what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. Okay, so it says get rid of this O-ring here. So just remove that and then get rid of this. And then you're gonna use a new tapered plug, no O-ring on the filter. Then looks like a little spring and then a new thing. So here's the parts right there. So basically, I'm guessing it's supposed to go in like that. That's what it looks like, but I guess I gotta put that that little spring right there in there. Okay, the one thing I did learn that you gotta pay attention to, there's a little hole in there. I don't know if the camera's picking that. Look over here. Go here. There's a little hole there, and it'll line up with that. So you gotta make sure you put this in, and when you tap it in, that it lines up with that hole to put that detent thing back in. Okay, so next is to drill another hole. So they have you basically flip the valve body assembly over, and then you put this little plate right there, and then you use 2 of the bolts, and they give you 2 nuts to hold that plate in place, and then you drill a hole right in the middle. That's 3/16. And they do give you drill bits. I was using my own, but it looks like they do give you some drill bits. Okay, so got the hole drilled through, and it looks like it goes in that same spot where it had me drill the first hole that came through the side, which is a 3/16 hole with another 3/16 hole. So I don't know what it does, but let's hope it works. But you know what I will say? This instructions are pretty straightforward. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and it seems to be pretty easy to follow. Okay, so it looks like you got to reuse that little plate, put this little clip and relief pin in, but it says, you know, do it last. So that's the same plate you use to drill with. One thing that kind of gets me is when you put that in there, let's see, it does stick up. Like, it don't sit flush. So I'm a little worried about that, but you know, so far everything's been good, so I'm gonna trust the process. Okay, so it looks like we're now onto this step, which is this plate thing, and it tells you to drill a few holes in certain little spots and stuff like that, and it gives you a firmness scale. So I have a orifice drilling bills, orifice drill bit set that I use for work for gas valves and stuff like that. So I just used the in between of the average and the firm. So I use like a 0.89 drill bit. So that's it for this step. And then this one here says if you have a 91, 92 type valve body, which I didn't. So I guess you can skip this step here. Okay, so I was reading ahead on this part, and this is where it seems like it gets a little confusing. So bear with me. But I guess for my accumulator body, which is this thing here, it doesn't have this extra spot right here. So I guess it doesn't have this one. So it says some models. So but it looks like you reuse the spring that was here, and then it comes with a white spring that goes there. So in the long spot, the white spring goes there, the original 8-coil spring goes there, and then nothing goes there. Okay, so I used the original spring here, new spring, white spring there, and then the instructions get a little confusing because it says the C equals a check balls, but there's no check balls in here, and it says no ball here. I think they're referencing if you were doing it like while I was on the car and you were underneath it and the balls wouldn't have stayed in, but my tranny is upside down, so all my check balls, these little things here, stay where they're supposed to be. But it looks like it wants me to remove that one right there. And then the other ones all stay where they are at. So, wish me luck. Okay, so it looks like we're all done with this step, these A through F. So I replaced whatever springs, put this all back together here, the way it says. And then going to remove that check valve that's in there like it says. And I'll see what the next step is. Okay, so according to the instructions, it looks like we're on step 7, and it wants me to remove something that goes here, which is right there. So I don't know if I have a snap ring pliers that'll be long enough to get in there, so this might be it for me for today goes. And then it looks like step 8, you got to replace something for a stronger bolt, which goes right there. So you got to take that one out. And then looks like for the last step, step 9, we got to undo this thing here, and it says put in the orange spring. So I guess I'll jump to those just in case if I don't have a snap ring pliers that'll be long enough to get that one out. Okay, so I got all this stuff out like it says, and then mine has no stem, so I guess I don't use the spacer. But here's where the stuff that came out. So it looks like you reuse this, and then in the kit it has the springs and everything else to replace everything with. So I'm just gonna put it in the way the picture says. Okay, to make it easy, I lined it up how they show it. So this is the old stuff on the bottom. That's the new stuff on the top. And this would just go up there with that, and I don't need that spacer. So let's go ahead and get it installed the way it came out. All right, back to the instructions. So I was able to get all that in there with no problem. Got that new bolt in. Doesn't give torque specs, so I just tightened it down as far as I could. This thing here says reuse. Now I'm about to get ready to pull this thing off and I guess replace the orange spring. So that's the one spot first. I did get it in there with the drawing a blank. I don't know. Snap ring plier. That's what it is. Snap rings. Then got the bolt in there. Then this thing is the other one that you just, I guess, leave alone. You don't do anything with. And now we're about to take apart this big thing here. Okay, so I might repeat myself, I don't know. But it comes with this spring. You're supposed to replace that spring with it. And it says if the spring does not fit, reuse the original spring. So got that all pulled out. And I had to use an impact on that. Like they were in there tight. So I'm not sure what you torqued these down to, but it had to be at least, I'm gonna say 30 to 40 foot-pounds. So I don't know, we're gonna see. But I'm gonna swap that out real quick and then put it back together. This is a little something I noticed too. When you're doing this, make sure you put that gasket back on correctly. So I don't know if that matters from side to side, but yep, but it looks like it lines up just like that. It has this little indent there. So I don't know if you can put it on wrong or not, but I noticed that when I was putting it back together. So this part, I guess that's it if you have the trans still in the car and you were doing this whole setup. But if you want to replace this internal upgrades, you got this big snap ring and you got to pull out the drum section in the middle. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. But that would be this big thing here. So my only thing I'm curious on is if there's anything special to get this out. So I'm gonna look that over and see if I need a special tool to do that. So these instructions kind of got me a little nervous here about this part. It's mainly this thing here. It says install new thicker snap ring. This is the last ring. It wasn't that one. What is it? To rent or something. Where's the right? Oh, then with some side cutters, grab each spring up close to upper retainer and twist and pull. Yeah, this the section that kind of has me a little nervous, but I'm gonna try. Okay. All right. So this step here, yeah, leave this for the professionals. Hell, it took me damn near 20 minutes to figure out how to get this out. Just get the, once I got the bolt out, I couldn't figure out how to get it out. Then I watched the video, finally got that out. trying to get that out, rip the gasket up. So now I got to figure out how I'm getting another gasket, because at this point I'm just a little bit above my head. I'm a little over my head on this one. So then I got this thing pulled apart, and here it don't really tell you where this is at in the transmission. It just says if you have the trans apart. And when I think they say you have the trans apart, I think they really mean when you have the trans apart. Not this little valve body stuff I've been dealing with, you know. So these are some kind of clutches. But yeah. I think what I'm going to do is try to find that gasket, put this thing back together, and skip this last little step. You know, this was an optional step, and yeah, I'm opting out. So unless you know what you're doing, don't touch this part. This last page is not for the novice. Don't do it. So now I've already started, so I've been watching videos for the last 2-3 hours trying to figure out how I was gonna fix this catastrophe I got here. But I got a plan. So I'm gonna call this part 1. But it's all apart. This section here for this is this thing right here. There's a little snap ring, something sealed that keeps that in place. So I'll still be able to do it without doing too much crazy stuff. But I did look up and find a gasket kit that has that gasket, this seal, and I think that bushing. So since I'm already this far into it, I figured I might as well replace those. But part 1. Okay, as you can see, it's dark now. It's like 9:30 at night, so I gotta clean up and get ready for bed because I gotta get up at 5:30 tomorrow. But this is already anodized. That's the way I bought it. But you can see it came out pretty decent. Ain't the best of lighting, but everything kind of came out the way I wanted to. I didn't finish the rear calipers, but the fronts are done. Well, that is a wrap for today's Adventures of Kenny. This really was a whole day of adventure in the garage, just messing with this tranny, trying to get everything done. But the kit is pretty easy. I will say that the main part they say you should do when the trans is not apart, that part was fairly easy. It was once I got to that last little section that was optional, which I shouldn't have did, but I was like, hey, tranny's out of the car, why not try it? And it just ended up being a little bit more than I was expecting, but I still think I can fix it, so I'm not too worried. I just got to buy some parts that I wasn't, I should say, it's not expensive. I think when I looked it up, the kit was like $25 for the gasket, the other little stuff that I need. But, I'll get it done. So I'm calling this part 1. But like always, everybody, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And I will catch you guys in the next Adventures of Kenny. Peace.
Thank you all for watching this here video.